Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something really quite different. It's source material from a guide, maybe a memoir, called Wakka Musafir, The Time Traveler's Journey.
Yeah, and it's by Santosh Bhaumik. But what's fascinating is, like you said, it's not about schematics or physics. Not really.
No flux capacitor here.
None at all.
Yeah.
It's all about the internal world, the rules, the philosophy, the ethics of this one specific time traveler. It's like his personal operating manual.
Right. So our mission today, for you listening, is to kind of unpack that, understand the logic, how this power supposedly works for him, and critically, this really strict moral code he develops.
A code he almost had to invent, didn't he?
Yeah.
Just to handle the power itself.
Exactly. It seems like a journey from, well, total freedom to a kind of total responsibility.
And that journey, I think, it really shows the psychological burden.
Yeah.
You can see everything, the ups and downs. Maybe mastery isn't about control. It's about controlling yourself, your own impulses.
Okay, let's dig into that. Section 1. The power itself, the mechanics, or lack thereof, and why he started using it.
Well, the first thing is, the Musafir, that's our traveler, he never says it's tech.
No machine, no inherited device.
Right, it's described as inherent, something he just felt since he was a kid. Bhaumik uses phrases like, he can break and twist time, pull its threads.
It sounds almost mystical. Organic, maybe?
Yeah, organic's a good word, like a natural talent, not something engineered. And that actually makes the act of time travel sound incredibly simple.
How simple are we talking?
According to the text, no complex calculations, no machine warm-up. He just closes his eyes
That's it.
and thinks about being in another era, just focuses his mind.
Boom.
Palekvapakti hide, the source says, in the blink of an eye. He's there. Different city, different clothes, maybe even a different language being spoken around him. Instantaneous.
Wow. Okay, so if the power is that easy, that immense, you'd think the first thing he'd do is, I don't know, try and rule the world. Or fix some huge historical wrong.
You would think. But that's the first big surprise in the narrative. The motivation is completely grounded, mundane almost.
How so?
He was just an ordinary kid. Poor family, small settlement. The text mentions the roti ke liye parashani.
The struggle for bread, just basic survival.
Exactly. So this incredible, godlike power, its first use was driven by hunger, by the simple curiosity to see if life was better somewhere else, on, quote, other paths.
So it wasn't about changing history. It was about escaping his own immediate grinding reality. Finding a better meal, maybe.
Or at least seeing where better meals might be found.
Yeah.
Observation fueled by need. Personal escape, not heroism.
Which leads right into the practical problem.
Huh?
How do you do that without people noticing?
Yes. Identity management. Crucial from day one. To keep the secret, he had to become a chameleon.
Living double lives.
Or triple, or quadruple, probably. One minute he's the poor son working the fields in his home time. The next, maybe he's adopting the persona of a rich city kid, wandering through those Hawa Mahal and the airy palaces mentioned.
So the world only ever saw the mask. The chosen identity for that moment.
Precisely. The real him. Invisible. Untraceable across time. The ultimate camouflage.
But that level of freedom, constantly shifting, doesn't that mess with your head? When you can be anyone, anywhere, anytime, what stops you from just indulging every whim? Pure hedonism.
That's the perfect transition.
Yeah.
Because that internal chaos you mentioned, that's exactly the danger he recognized. And it leads directly to the discipline he imposed on himself.
Okay, section 2. The discipline. The rules of endurance, as the source calls them.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting philosophically. Because with that kind of freedom, the biggest threats aren't external, they're internal. Addiction, corruption.
And the Musafia actively fights this. The text talks about a great abstention. He refuses to become a slave to lat addiction.
Specifically calls out alcohol, drugs, nasha, and very pointedly, the lust for money.
Okay, alcohol and drugs, I get that. Standard vices. But why lump money in there so strongly? It feels different. More than just standard morality.
It is. And this is where we get into what you might call temporal ethics. It's not just about being good.
What do you mean?
He understood, or came to understand, that things like wealth, addictions, even social status, they're incredibly temporary.
Fleeting.
Exactly. They have a very short shelf life when you view them across centuries, right? Money, for example, its form, its value, it's radically different in different eras.
Yeah.
Completely worthless outside its specific context.
Ah, I see. So if you get addicted to, say, opium in Victorian London, That addiction becomes a huge liability, a weakness, the moment you travel to ancient Rome or 23rd century Mars.
Precisely. It anchors you. It compromises your freedom. The traveler realized the only constant, the only thing that's always present, is time itself.
Watch.
There
So depending on anything within time, anything temporary.
makes you fragile. It creates a vulnerability.
Yeah.
You become dependent on something that will eventually crumble to dust. It limits your ability to operate freely across the vastness of history.
So the discipline. It's less about being virtuous and more about being effective. Operationally sound across all time.
That's a great way to put it. It's pragmatic. It's about maintaining universal applicability. To truly master time, you have to shed attachments to the artifacts of time.
Otherwise, chasing the temporary makes you lose the eternal perspective.
You got it. That discipline is like armor, essential for enduring the long haul. It's a defense mechanism against existential compromise, against being tied down.
And it's only after achieving this internal stability, this freedom from those immediate desires, that he could even think about doing more.
Exactly. This kind of intentional self-denial, this asceticism, it's the foundation. It has to come first. Only then could he move towards, well, towards actually engaging with the world, not just observing it.
He moves from seeking literal bread, the roti, to seeking something more substantial. Ethically, maybe? Which brings us to the next turning point.
Right. Section 3, the ethical awakening.
So he's got this discipline down. He decides to try out being wealthy, just to see, maybe. Puts on the nice clothes, the white kurta, the shiny watch, adopts the shakat, the grandeur.
But it falls flat.
Yeah.
He finds out pretty quickly that all that money, all that status,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't actually bring sukoon, real peace.
No. What does he find instead?
He finds a different kind of emptiness.
Hmm.
He observes that the people around him, the wealthy, they're often just as trapped, maybe more so, because their whole focus is inward.
Self-interest.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
The text says.
Always thinking of their own advantage, their own benefit. And for someone who can literally see millennia unfold,
Yeah.
watching people pour their entire single finite life into jockeying for a slightly bigger pile of temporary stuff must seem profoundly strange. Alienating, even.
So he's disillusioned with that path, and this kind of primes him for something else, a shock to the system.
Exactly. It sets the stage for the catalyst, the moment that pulls him out of just watching and forces him to act. And that catalyst has a name, Ahmed.
Ahmed, the retired teacher. Ahmed is crucial because he's grounded. He's real. He represents the messy, immediate reality the traveler had sort of floated above.
And what does Ahmed do?
He doesn't talk philosophy. He tells the traveler about something concrete, something awful happening right now. A local factory.
Okay.
It's polluting the air, releasing Zerili Hawa, poisonous air, and it's making children sick. Right there, right then.
That makes it immediate, tangible, not some abstract historical event centuries away, but kids getting hurt now.
Exactly. It forces the traveler to confront a wound of time, but one that's happening in the present, affecting innocence. It shakes him out of detachment.
And what does he do? Does he, zap the factory owner out of existence, change the past so the factory was never built?
No. And that's key. His response isn't about overwhelming force or grand temporal intervention. It's subtle, careful.
How so?
He just talks to the factory owner, engages with him.
And says what? I'm a time traveler. Clean up your act.
No, nothing like that. He uses his broader perspective, maybe his understanding of long-term consequences, but frames it in a way the owner can understand. He basically argues that implementing safety measures isn't just charity.
It's good business. Protects the company's future, its reputation.
Precisely. It's an appeal to enlightened self-interest, using his unique insight without revealing the source of that insight. A small step, but a critical one. Action over observation.
But what gives him the right? Even that small intervention is still intervention. Tampering. Who says that's okay?
That's where Ahmed's wisdom comes back in. He provides the ethical framework, the justification, almost.
What does he say?
He gives this warning. Power used without thought can cause harm, which is pretty clear.
Okay, caution.
But then he adds the crucial part, the counterbalance to power. Time gives you opportunities. Responsibility is your companion.
Responsibility is your companion. Wow, that changes everything, doesn't it?
Completely. It reframes the entire purpose. The power isn't just a gift or a tool for personal use anymore. It's an opportunity, and every opportunity comes bundled with responsibility. They travel together.
So he's not just allowed to act responsibly, he's almost obligated to.
That seems to be the realization. The challenge shifts from how to travel through time to how to be responsible while doing it. It's like seeing time not just as a river flowing by, but as a living thing.
With wounds.
Yeah, walk away subsect 1, the wounds of time. And maybe, just maybe, he has a duty to try and heal some of them.
Which leads us to the final stage then, the new mission.
Section 4, the new mandate.
So armed with this new understanding from Ahmed, this sense of responsibility, the Musafir makes a decision.
A huge one. He decides his purpose isn't just to watch time anymore, or even just understand its wounds passively.
He needs to act, to try and change things, mend those wounds.
Actively intervene, yes.
Yeah.
It's a complete shift in his entire reason for being, for using the power. From observer to agent. Maybe even healer.
But the irony there, he originally used time travel to get away from hardship, to gain comfort and freedom.
And now, this new mandate demands he potentially give those very things up. The source is explicit about the potential cost.
What kind of cost?
Giving up personal comfort, possibly sacrificing his identity peccum, which he worked so hard to manage, even forfeiting his freedom azadi.
So the price of using power responsibly is giving up the personal perks that power initially offered, trading personal gain for moral purpose.
And risk, lots of risk. It's a profound shift from self-interest, even enlightened self-interest, to moral obligation, a really demanding one.
And because time never stops, because history keeps happening, wounds keep forming, this obligation is endless, isn't it?
It seems so. The job is never truly done. He essentially trades those temporary comforts he learned to reject early on, money, status, for an eternal, ongoing, potentially painful duty.
That's quite the paradox. The being with the most freedom chooses a path of perpetual service and self-limitation.
It's the core transformation, really.
Okay, let's try and wrap this up. Outro thoughts.
Well, if you pull it all together, the big takeaway seems to be the ability to time travel is almost secondary. The real key is the internal work.
The discipline.
That discipline, yeah. Building that internal fortitude to resist the temporary, to stay objective across eras. That self-mastery, which started as self-preservation.
Becomes the prerequisite for hearing the call to responsibility.
Exactly. You have to conquer yourself before you can even think about responsibly engaging with time.
So the Musafir's journey, it takes him from being that hungry kid just looking for a way out to this disciplined, ethical agent who's willing to sacrifice potentially everything.
Yeah, sacrifice comfort, identity, freedom, all to try and mend those wounds of time. It's quite a trajectory.
It really is. Which leaves us, and you listening with maybe a final thought, building on Bomek's ideas.
If the first big danger was avoiding those temporary traps, the money, the addictions, the status, what are the long-term ethical dangers?
When you're dealing with the whole sweep of history.
Yeah. If you can see causes and effects play out over centuries, how do you avoid, temporal arrogance? Thinking you know best. How do you avoid becoming numb to suffering because you've seen so much of it?
What does responsible engagement even look like when your perspective is that vast and immediate consequences feel, well, less immediate?
Does the scale of time eventually erode your moral compass? That seems like a profound ongoing risk.
Maybe the greatest danger isn't breaking time, but time breaking your own sense of right and wrong. Definitely something to chew on.
Indeed.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the unique philosophy of the Watko Musafir.
My pleasure. Always fascinating stuff.